Hey, I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackHere.com. Today we're going to break down the Yoshimura Airbox upgrade on our 2022 Yamaha R7 STG project bike. Okay, so full disclosure, we were going to do an install video on this. Bottom line is I ran out of time. It takes a lot more time to do an install video than it does to just install the part. This turned out to be a little bit of a project, okay? And we were heading to the racetrack. Max and I were both going to ride at Grattan Raceway with our friends from Sportbike Track Time last weekend. And because of the power gains that are promised by this airbox, I really wanted to have it on there because you know what? The R7 benefits from a little more punch. No question, right? In its complete stock trim, the bike is a little to the slower side. It forces you to ride it a little harder than you would have to ride, say, like a 1000, where all you got to do is get your knee on the ground, throw the boat anchor out, and then get on the gas to get yourself a nice lap time. With this bike, you actually have to ride it, and I was really looking forward to the benefit of that performance gain. So in this video, we're going to talk about what I noticed when I rode it at Grattan. Got a nice day or so riding it. We had a little weather come in, and we'll talk about the install itself. Okay, let's go install. What did I do to install this? How much disassembly did it require? I removed the fuel tank, this trim here, the seat. I had to pull the tail section apart. I loosened up the OEM under tray, right? The plastic under tray that holds the battery. I removed the battery from that tray as well. To facilitate removing the tank, I also had the bodywork off the motorcycle. This is race bodywork, so that stuff was pretty basic. So pretty much a full bodywork removal in order to gain access with a little added space pulled from loosening up this under tray. While going through the project, it was pretty tight down here by the shock. So I also pulled these two frame extensions, right, on both the brake and the clutch side, as well as removing the rear shock. I had it supported by the foot pegs, rear stand, pulled the rear shock out, and it just gave me a little more room to get this out of there. And if you look at this thing, I mean, they really have this bad boy tucked up in there, okay? Getting this out was probably the most interesting part of the project itself. Took a minute to get that done. Just simply didn't have time to do all that on camera. The Yoshimura Airbox comes in multiple pieces. It has a foam filter element that, yeah, you really should use some air filter oil on. I did that. I could use some Maximal oil or something. I oiled up the filter element. I assembled the entire thing. It comes in multiple pieces. That in itself, that's probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes to get the airbox itself ready to install. The hardest part is removing this. Once you have that out, this slides right in there. It fits great. They did a great job with the engineering. There's a mounting bracket that you're going to add to the upper shock bolt. For me, that was easy. I already had the shock off the bike just to get more access to pull that thing out. That bracket goes right here. That bolts to the bottom portion of the airbox. The velocity stacks fit right over the throttle body assembly, no problem. You know, once you get this assembled and you get the filter all oiled up, it's good to go. There is a little maintenance that comes with that. They're recommending about every 7 hours of use that you go ahead and pop this out of there, get your filter element out, clean it out, re-oil it, and reassemble it. We all ride a different amount. At the end of the day, 7 full hours of operation is a pretty good, right? It's a pretty good measure. So you're going to easily be able to get through a complete track weekend and then some. So maybe every couple of weekends, right? Keep an eye on it. If you go into a gravel trap and you crash and you get it all dirty, that's obviously going to accelerate your timetable a little bit. You're going to have to pull it apart and get it clean before you go back out. Pretty basic stuff, easy to do once you have the OEM airbox off the bike. Cost of this was $499, okay? Difficulty of the project, I already broke that down. I mean, you need to be able to pretty much take all the bodywork off, remove the rear shock, remove that under tray, slide it back a little bit. So there is quite a bit of disassembly for the initial install. So I would say it has a reasonable degree of difficulty. Now for the fun stuff. They're promising, I think it was like 8.5% power gain with a stock motor, no tuning, and a 4.8% torque gain, losing approximately a half a pound in weight. Full disclosure, I did not weigh the pieces. Wasn't really too concerned about that. I was looking at that 8.5% horsepower gain. It's huge. Seat of the pants, butt dyno at a track that I've been riding at for over 20 years. You could notice it. There was no question it improved the performance of the bike. I was smiling on the first lap when I rode it. I left the gearing the same that I had on it at Barber for the gearing. I've got a 15-tooth front and a 40-tooth rear. I probably could have played around with that a little bit when I'm at the track now, and I'm taking care of Max's bike and taking care of mine, so mine kind of takes a back seat. So I just kind of rode it as it was. Got to reasonable lap times for a 70-something horsepower bike, right? Got mid-20 or mid-29s, not horrible. The bike's fun to ride. It's easy on the tires, and it forces you to enter the corner a little deeper, carry a little bit more corner speed, get on the throttle a little bit earlier coming out. And it's really confidence inspiring there because it doesn't have that explosive power of a 1000 or even a 600, where the risk of spitting yourself to the moon becomes exponentially higher. You can get on the gas with this thing pretty aggressively, exiting the corner, just inspires confidence. It makes the ride more fun. Like I said previously, if you're buying this bike only to chase lap times, you want to go to your local track and you've had a 1000, you've had a 600, and you're expecting to do those really fast lap times, this probably isn't the bike for you. If you want to go to the track and have a lot of fun and force yourself to be a better rider, right? The deeper you can enter, the more corner speed you can carry, the better your line selection is and the better your exits are. That all just equates to a better rider. This is a great option. Would I spend the $5? Do I recommend it? If you don't mind the little maintenance interval, right? So 7 hours of riding, or if you ever crash and you get a bunch of dirt on it, you're gonna have to clean it off. If you don't mind that part, right? And you're looking for that little bit of extra punch without having to open the motor up, I think this is $499 well spent. If you have any questions, and I'm sorry that we couldn't do a full install, I got greedy. I wanted it on my bike and I didn't have time to shoot an install, and I wanted to be out there enjoying it on the track with my kid. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment section of this video. Answer all that stuff myself. And I'm always here to make sure you get the same result from your project we got from ours.